supposed to be S-I-T-H-I-N-I.
Otherwise, it's supposed to be S-I-T-H-I-N-I.
Sure.
Mr. Dugwana has got a similar problem. He is going to explain it.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Well, I think there are lots of these problems. I think I recently saw a player on TV, as a professional soccer player, whose name is written as Matiane, and my suspicion is that he is Mtiane.
It's supposed to be Mtiane. Yes.
And Mtiane, the Mtianes are my people.
Correct.
But now he's Matiane, and I think there are quite a few of those situations. And
but for historical reasons, Chair, it's best to leave it as is.
Yes. No. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning.
My surname is Mazibuko.
Yes.
On the instructions of Moroka attorneys,
yes,
I represent Mr. Tsepiso Makashule, who has been served with a notice in terms of Rule 3.3
yes,
of the rules of this commission.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just to place on record, 2 days ago, we also received an affidavit
Yes.
deposed to by Mr. Iqbal Sharma. It is not an application in terms of Rule 3.4.
Yes.
It's simply an application attempting to respond to the witness statement of Mr. Dukwana.
Yes.
We have since finished a copy to Mr. Dukwana's legal team, who also need time to reflect upon it.
Yes.
We will engage also in the meantime with Mr. Iqbal Sharma in order to clarify whether or not he intends participating in these proceedings,
Yes.
and or to make any application to cross-examine any Mr. Dukwana.
Yes.
After we have clarified those issues, Mr. Chair, it's only then that we will place it properly before you.
Okay.
That is the reason that you won't see it before you.
Okay, that's fine.
Mr. Chair, there are two bundles before you. The one, it should be marked as Exhibit X, and there is also a supplementary affidavit deposed to by Mr. Dukwana, which must, subject to your directions, Mr. Chair, be marked as Exhibit X1.
The Liver Arch file containing Mr. Dugwana's main affidavit will be marked Exhibit X, and his supplementary affidavit.
Okay, we will return you to the State Capture Commission shortly in Parktown, Johannesburg. We would just like to issue an apology at this time. The SABC News would like to unreservedly apologize to Justice Ntsikelelo Phoswa following a broadcast on the agenda on the 1st of February this year. In the insert regarding the profile of Advocate Shamila Batoy compiled by our Special Projects crew, the reporter incorrectly said that Judge Phoswa was with the National Directorate of Public Prosecutions. The report also said that when Batoy was gunning for a top job at the KZN Attorney General's office, she had lost to Judge Phoswa. This information was incorrect, and we would like to apologize to Justice Phoswa. Okay, let's return you now to the State Capture inquiry happening live in Parktown, Johannesburg.
The one document with the heading "Welcome to become SA Silicon Valley?" will be marked Exhibit X2.
Yes, Chair.
And the other document, a written record of cabinet decision, will be Exhibit X3.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you.
Chair, we are ready to proceed with the evidence of honor. May the witness be sworn in.
Yes, thank you.
Please state your full names for the record. Policy Tukwana.
Do you have any objections to taking the prescribed oath?
No,
Do you consider the oath to be binding on your conscience?
I do.
Do you swear that the evidence that you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you.
Well, before we proceed, Mr. Tukwana, I just want to express my appreciation for your coming forward to assist the Commission. People who have occupied positions such as the position you occupied in the Free State provincial government, namely being an MEC, as well as people who occupy similar positions in other provincial governments and national ministers, deputy ministers, DGs and deputy DGs all over, should be having a lot of information that should assist us. And a number of them have come forward, and we are appreciative of that, and we are appreciative of the fact that you are one of them. I believe that there are many more who haven't come forward who should have a lot of information. I hope that they will appreciate the great need for the country to know the information that they have in regard to issues of state capture, serious corruption. But I really thank you for coming forward to assisting the Commission. I understand that you went to the extent of instructing lawyers to bring an Anton Pillar application in the High Court in order to try and get information and documents that you believed would be helpful to this Commission, and you did that at your own personal cost. I just think that you need to know that we appreciate your determination to make sure that this Commission is assisted as much as possible. And I take this opportunity also to express my appreciation to your legal team, because they have also been of great assistance to the Commission. They have given the Commission a lot of cooperation to try and make sure that you are able to be here today. So thank you very much, and I thank your team as well. Thank you.
Mr. Tukwana, next to you, there must be two exhibits. You will see that the first one containing your initial statement is marked as Exhibit X. And next to that exhibit, there must be another one marked Exhibit X1. Do you have those two exhibits?
Yes, I do.
Yes. May we then for now concentrate on Exhibit X. If I may refer you to Exhibit X, you'll see that if you open the file, you will see that the first document after the cover page, it will be the index, which you will guide you from time to time as to where to locate documents. Are you there?
Yes, yes.
And if I may refer you to the next document that follows, immediately after the index, it commences from page 1, it runs up until page 29. Could you please identify that document for us?
The affidavit, the statement.
Yes, it's a statement.
Yes.
May I refer you to page 29? Is that your signature appearing on that page?
Yes, it is.
Yes. And do you confirm that your statement is in a form of an affidavit?
I do.
But for some corrections that we'll deal with in due course appearing from your supplementary affidavit, do you confirm that the contents of your statement are both true and correct?
They are, I do.
Yes. You have also furnished the Commission with the supplementary affidavit, which is to be found on Exhibit X1. Could you please turn to page 14 of Exhibit X1? There's a signature appearing there. Do you confirm that it is your signature?
It is.
And you also confirm the contents of that supplement to be true and correct?
Yes, they are, Chair.
Yes. You can keep Exhibit X1 with you because I need for us to deal with the corrections appearing in Exhibit X1. Please turn to page 7. And under the heading Amendments and Additions, would those be the corrections that you have effected in relation to your main statement? Mr. Tokwana?
Yes.
Yes. Could you please, very quickly, take the chair through those amendments so that we can appreciate to what extent have you amended your initial statement? From paragraph 7.
In relation to paragraph 38 of my statement, this amendment should read as follows: that the last sentence should read as, and I quote, "As soon as Tony left to make a copy, Magashule then intimated to me that he was going to be involved in a business relationship with Tony."
Yes. Mr. Chair, for ease of reference, paragraph 38 is to be found on page 12 of the main statement of Exhibit
Yes,
X.
thank you.
Yes. You may proceed to deal with other amendments.
Number 8 relates to paragraph 47. The airline, the correction to the airline, and that correction should be SA Express and not SA Link.
Yes. And that is on page 15 of Exhibit X. You may proceed.
Number 9 relates to paragraph 63, which should read as: the meeting in issue took place in February 2012, and I'm not certain about the dates, but I was dismissed on the 22nd February 2012 after the visit with Magashule to the Gupta compound.
Yes. And that's page 19 of Exhibit X. Proceed.
Number 10 relates to paragraph 67. In the first sentence must read: I was also startled that the Premier of the province brought me to the Gupta compound with the sole intention of corruptly and unlawfully advancing commercial interests of the Guptas.
Yes, proceed.
Number 11, it relates to paragraph 71. The correct date is to be 25th October 2018.
Yeah.
Paragraph 87, the correction there is the date, the 22nd February 2012.
And that is to be found on page 25 of Exhibit X. Yes. You may proceed.
Paragraph 93 should read as MEC for Economic Development and Tourism, not Sport, as it reflected.
And now in paragraph 14, you have now added to paragraph 87. Can you please take the chair, the additions in relation to paragraph 87?
In paragraph 87, on the 22nd February 2012, whilst in the meeting, I received a call from Ms. Elsabi Rockman, who was the Director General of the Free State Province, indicating to me that the Premier wanted to talk to me. Instead, the person who spoke to me was Mayor Mamiki Kabate, who informed me that at 11 o'clock that day, the Premier would make an announcement on the cabinet reshuffle. Ms. Kabate went on to state to me that the Premier has decided to drop me and replace me with a female in his endeavor to advance empowerment of women in the province. Following the call, I excused myself from the meeting and flew back to Bloemfontein. On arrival, my VIP protection persons received me, and whilst in the car to the office, it was breaking news that indeed I have been relieved of my responsibilities as MEC. On arrival at the office, I found emotional support staff some of whom were in chairs. Ms. Nonomalkhaz then told me that Ms. Kabate had addressed them concerning the developments. I tried to gain access to my office in order to remove my personal belongings, in particular my books, and the office was locked. I called Ms. Kabati concerning access to my office, and she advised me that all my belongings would be carried to my residence.
Yes. Now, for now, you can put aside Annexure Exhibit X1, as we'll be now focusing on Exhibit X. Can you please, in relation to paragraph 9 of Exhibit X, summarize for us your academic qualifications?
I obtained a secondary teacher's diploma from the College of Mpoadi in Kroonstad, and I went on to teach at the school in Kutlano, Rearabetswe Secondary School, from 1986 up until 1993. I have gone through other courses, but not complete some of them.
Yes. Are you a member of any political organization?
Yes, I am. I'm a very disciplined member of the ANC. And I served in different positions in the ANC. Earlier, after the unbanning of the ANC in trying to set up structures in the province, in the Free State, established two regional structures, the North and the South. The North related to mainly your Welcome, Virginia, that is the South. The North, in fact, will relate to a number of areas up until you go to Botterville, Parys, and up until Friede, and Kwakwa, Bethlehem, until the Goldfields. And the South related to Bloemfontein, Botshabelo, as well Tabanshu, as well as the Harib region. And there was a structure that was headed, a structure that was established, that was headed by Ndate Vincent Matipe. And after structures of the ANC were put in place, in late 1990, I was elected the first regional chairperson of the ANC in the Northern Free State. And that it was for a year, and we went to a conference the following year, 1991 to 1992. And I must say, during the time when I was a regional chairperson, one had an opportunity also as an ex officio member of the National Executive Council. And it is also what actually has guided me throughout my life since the experience in serving with gallant leaders and members of the ANC at the time. It was at that time that one realized, I mean, with everything that one thought we had, as a young, energetic member of the ANC, getting into the NEC and finding such brains, such men and women of such character, encouraged me, and this is actually what has motivated me to try and leave a legacy that such men and women who served in the ANC at that time represented. I mean, just to make an example, it took me a long period just to participate in the NEC in terms of debates. In some instances, I remember, especially during the negotiations, that you had great members, when matters were put to the table, and you're trying to participate and you're thinking what to say, and you find, some members, some leaders expressing it in a manner in which I never thought that, I never even thought about it. And you think that this person had said something that, was odd, only to find that somebody else will come up with something much better than the initial one. And you could imagine my confusion in that, and I thought very, very little in the company of such giants. But one learned a lot in that space of time. And that carried me, and one wished that many young members of the ANC today could have had the experience that one had in serving in such a structure. And in 1991-92, I was then elected as a deputy chairperson to the late Ndade Khunyedi. And in 1992-93, 93-94, I then served as the deputy chairperson also to Ace Makhashule. And in fact, it's very interesting what the development at the time, but what is of interest is that it was agreed that because the members who were serving in the structure at the time were not working, I was the only one who was a teacher working at the time when the top 5 was elected. That consisted of Ace Makhashule as the chairperson, as the deputy chairperson, Secretary Pat Matosa, deputy secretary was the late Vax Mayekiso, and the treasurer was Tate Mahwe. And in 1994, when the ANC dissolved the region in order to establish a provincial structure, I was then elected in the PEC, and later on, 1995, went on to serve also as the treasurer. I served as the treasurer of the ANC in 2005 up until 2012. I served 2 terms as the treasurer of the ANC, the provincial treasurer of the ANC.
And from 2012?
From 2012, I became an ordinary member of the ANC and Dimamilwa branch in my ward.
Yes. Now, I take it that from 1994 up until 2012, you did hold some official capacities within government. And can you take us through them?
After leaving teaching in 1993, I decided that it will be in the best interest to move out, because being involved in the ANC activity took me away from the I was teaching, and I thought that it was unfair. And instead of staying on, I then decided to resign and went on to be full-time and worked in the ANC up until the elections. After the elections of 1994, I was then elected in the legislature of the Free State as part of the 30 member of the legislature. I think the ANC could have received about 24, 25 seats at the time. And the premier was Ndade Teralekota, and I served as a member of the legislature and became the chief whip and the RDP commissioner together with Pat Matosa. And in 1996, in fact, in the province of the Free State from 1994, because of the history between the North and the South, a lot happened that led to a situation where the ANC was disbanded. And the Executive Council, the ANC was the first provincial structure in the Free State to be disbanded in 1996. And the Executive Council was also disbanded in 1996. I remember we were called to Lutuli, and because of all other issues that were creating problems for government to function properly. And we were admonished by the likes of the late comrade Nelson Mandela, and we had also Thabo Mbeki in attendance and many other leaders. And the ANC, from that meeting, were disbanded. And when we went there as members of some members of the Executive Council, some members of the PEC, when we went back, we were no longer members of the PEC. We were told, you're no longer, because we are not deserving of such an honor because of our behavior. And in 1996, when after the disbandment of the Executive Council, Mr. Lekota was then taken to the NCOP. He became the chairperson of the NCOP, and Ace Makhashwila went to the National Parliament and the National Assembly. And the late Mayor IV Matsipe Kasaburi came in as the Premier. And I was then appointed as an MEC for Education in 1996. In 1998, I was dismissed as the MEC for Education. And the reason was, at the time, was a project to develop a College Square. And those who wanted to develop College Square came to me because in terms of the law, the public school, if it does not use the land available, or it chose not to use their land available, that land should go back to the municipality and they will do their rezoning. Or they would come to the MEC and make a recommendation. So when they came to me, they sought to ask for that we recommend that they use the land for a commercial for commercial purposes. I then intimated with these guys that it would be amiss of me if I were to allow them to do that, and instead it will be better that whatever the proceeds that would come from such an venture should also benefit the other schools, especially the disadvantaged schools in the area, because the land belonged to them. The municipality was just holding the land on their behalf. Therefore, it will make more sense if that was the case. And it took long to convince these people, but ultimately they agreed. When we were about to sign the agreement, some of my colleagues wanted us to engage and discuss this matter further. And I felt that, in fact, it was not appropriate because they had invited the same people I had negotiated these deals with and wanted us to restart the negotiations. And I refused to do that. And then later that day, I received a phone call from the late Mayor IV Matsipe Kasaburi, who indicated to me that she would prefer to make sure that there is stability in the Executive Council, and if some members had threatened to resign if I was not dealt with, she would rather, release me, and I thanked her for that, and that was it. And this is very interesting that during all the time that I was in the Executive Council, On 2 occasions, every time I was fired, it was through a call. And fortunately, the first time I had the courtesy of being given a call by the premier, the person who appointed me, and not with the last one that I will talk about. And then 1999, after the elections, I became a deputy speaker of the legislature up until 2004, where I became a speaker, and it went on up until 2008, when I was then brought in as a member of the executive under the leadership of Mayor Beatrice Mashoff to serve as a MEC for safety, that was police at the time, and transport, and up until that year, 2008 late, where there were changes, and I had to move to economic development. It was just before the elections. Went to serve also as the MEC for economic development and tourism. And I also had an opportunity when Mr. Kaska Mukitlane, who was then the MEC for education, left to join COPE. The ANC gave me the responsibility also through the leadership of Mayor Beatrice Mashoff to also act as an MEC for education. So during that year, up until after the election, I was responsible for 2 portfolios, the economic development as well as education. And after the elections, I was then also elected or appointed by Isma Khashule into the executive to continue as an MEC for economic development, tourism, and environmental affairs up until 2012, when I was summarily dismissed.
Yes, we'll deal with the dismissal later. Now, before dealing with specific topics which you are ventilating in your statement, may we deal with, the Anton pillar which was touched upon by the chair earlier today, which you brought before the High Court. Can you remind us, by the way, when did you bring that High Court application?
I think it's on the 25th.
Of October
2018.
So it is almost approximately 7 months back.
Yes.
What was the reason for approaching the High Court in Bloemfontein?
Chair, I come from a province. I have worked in that province. I have come to understand the ins and outs of what is happening in that province. And I then felt that if I were to alert anyone that I was going to come to the commission and I needed information, I can say here now that the information would not have been provided to me. Let me make an example. Throughout this saga, where we were going through, the provincial government intimated that I shouldn't have gone there. They could have provided the information that we requested. But if that was the case, why did they oppose the application? In fact, common sense dictates that they would, because they support, they were willing to give me the information. They would not have chosen to do that. But also, it went on to prove me right, because some of the information, for instance, my diary that you would need, and whatever you need, you have in the office, you take everything, take stock of everything as an asset, and then you archive it. And it was also on the roster of things that were taken from our office. But when we requested the diary, it's nowhere. As we speak, as we're sitting here, we have not been given the diary. That was the reason why I chose to do that. I just wanted the court to give the authority that would allow them not to do anything to the information that was requested.
Yes. May I refer you to Exhibit X1 with particular reference to page 9 from paragraph 15, Mr. Tupwana, you
This one?
X1, yes. Okay. If you go to page 9, from paragraph 15, you are dealing with that issue pertaining to the status quo of the Untitled. Are you able to simply summarize to the chair your journey from that time to date, so as we can appreciate your attempts which you undertaken in order to obtain the necessary documents? Just in summary.
Oh, we did everything that we could on the date, and my legal representatives and I, we had hoped that by the time the commission adjourned in 2018, all that we requested would be here. But on the 13th of February 2019, my legal representative had caused a letter to be addressed to the learned judge asking for the date on which the judgment will be handed down. And in annexure marked...
Is it annexure D?
So just to make sure, the application for an Anton Pillar order was heard on 25 October 2018, is that correct?
Yes.
That's the date when it was heard?
Yes.
And it was dealt with as an urgent application?
Yes, it was.
And I was saying that as at 13 February 2019, no judgment had been handed down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Chair.
And you're saying that as a result, there was a letter dispatched to the Honorable Judge, and that is annexure DMS 1, am I correct?
Yes.
Yes. Did you receive the judgment ultimately?
We received the order. When was it? Just checking.
Was that last week?
Go to page 11, paragraph 23.
Yes. The correspondent attorney informed my attorney that only an order was made and the judgment was to follow by the 5th of April 2019.
So as you are testifying before the commission today, you have only had an order dismissing the application and you have not yet received any judgment?
Yes.
In full?
Yes.
May I then refer you to Exhibit X? With particular reference to page 29. X is the big bundle, Mr. Tukwana. The X1 is that small bundle.
Mr. Mkwena, I don't know. I think your voice is
it fading?
low, soft,
Yes.
so maybe you could raise it.
X, bundle X, page 29.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see that from paragraph 98.1 to 98.6, you table there the documents which you requested. Are these the documents which you sought in the Untitled application?
Yes, they are, Chair.
Yes. Just for the record, could you please tell the chair, read them into the record as to what you sought in the application?
The cell phone records of the official mobile phone that was 082 555 9981. That was the phone that I used during my tenure as an MEC.
And why was it necessary for you to obtain those cell phone records?
It will also help to prove the discussions that we had with H. Magashule, especially in relation to him asking me to go to attend a fundraising dinner in Sandton that he had arranged, because he called me, and so I thought that would be very helpful.
And the second item?
My travel records during my tenure as an MEC.
And why was that necessary for you to obtain?
It will show that on a particular date, the date that will be reflected on the diary as a trip to Joburg will also be reflected. That's why I needed that.
Yes. And item number 3, 98.3.
The travel records of Mr. Magashula's premier during that period would also help to collaborate that we traveled on the said date. We were in the same plane.
Yes. And 98.4.
The presentation regarding the initial presentation on the data hub concept, which is the work that we were doing to establish an ICT hub in the Machabeng area.
Yes. And why was it important to obtain this presentation?
Because it would demonstrate that the work that we were doing and why there was such an interest from the other quotas, in this case the Guptas, to get to lay their hands in what we were doing.
Yes. And 98.5.
My diary during my tenure as an MEC, 2009 to 2012.
And is the one that you were telling the chair that up until to date you have not received it?
Yes, the chair, the importance of this would have demonstrated the fact that there is nowhere where I was told that I was going to meet with the Guptas, but on the said date, as normal as we do, once you get a booking, if it did not come through your office, you will inform your office, and they would put it down as you have indicated to them. And when I called my office, I indicated to them that on this particular day, I would be going to Sandton for an ANC fundraising dinner. And it would be recorded as such. So that was very important for me to get such information.
Yes. And 98.6.
Any electronic documents such as emails in my official email account relating to state capture activities.
Were you able to obtain any of that information?
No.
And what was the importance of you obtaining same?
These documents, especially the ones that will be coming from my emails, will demonstrate and also in my office, the manager of the office and the PA will demonstrate the discussions that pertained or that went on between us and the people who would be I would be referring to later.
Yes. Now it is apparent that you are not able to obtain all the documents which you wish to obtain for the purpose of your testimony here. How does that impact on your evidence, if at all?
Maybe before we do so, let me just make sure I understand. If we go back to paragraph 98 at page 29,
yes,
that we have been dealing with just now, Mr. Tukwana, from 98.1 to 98.6, you have listed certain items of information or documents that you needed.
That's true.
Now, Did you not get any of those listed in 98.1 to 98.6, or are there some that you did receive?
Let me just demonstrate what I got.
Yes.
The cell phone records.
That is 98.1.
As we're speaking, when we visited the office of the Premier last week, it came to our attention that I don't know whether it was deliberate, that they used a wrong cell phone number. And at the time, they did not have any difficulty to get the information from Vodacom. But they came back to indicate that in our meeting that Vodacom was indicating that it happened a long time ago and they could not retrieve some of the information, especially after 3 years, you know. But it became clear that they had used a wrong number. And funny enough, when we gave them the number, and the reason that I'm saying it's funny is because every member would know that at the time, almost every MEC, there was a sequence of these cell phone numbers. Every member would have an 082 555 or 555 and something, but it would always be 082 555 and 99 or you know 81. The other one was 07 something. That was a later phone that I used. You know, so it was very strange that it was the one that they used to request the information. And then when we gave them this number, what we got later when we were supposed as the due date, that was on a Friday, as they had indicated, the information that then came, that where they communicated with my legal team was that we needed now to apply, is it section 205 or something like that, so to get the information for this cell phone number. And then so as we're sitting down here, I don't have that. The travel records during my tenure as MEC, we also, we had to try and get something that would, the investigators had to try and to get something, but from the province, you know. The travel records of Mr. Magashule as Premier during the time, yes, we got. And also, you know.
Was it in a complete form, the one 98.3?
No, no. If you check, if we look into, if we were to look into the what was given to us, you will find in some instances, for instance, on the 22nd of February, when the Premier was to make an announcement of a reshuffle, the record points him somewhere. You know, so I'm just saying, with that only and many others, it demonstrates that it could not be a record that could be trusted and be used if one, just simple one of these was also falsified. And that is what we got, and I don't think it will be useful.
So you did get the travel records
yes.
Referred to in 98.2?
Yes.
Okay, and 98.3?
The presentation we got with regard to the data hub.
Look at the numbers carefully.
Yeah.
The chair is now talking to you about 98.3, not 98.4.
Travel records of Mr. Magashule as Premier during 2009. Yes, we got, as I say, although it was not the true reflection of what I would think would reflect exactly what happened.
Okay, you got them, but
yes.
You were unhappy with the content of what's written there.
I'm unhappy because, as I say, just picking up one that would, I mean, you can't be in the province to announce a reshuffle, and at the time he was engaging. I was in Joburg when the announcement was made.
Yes.
When I was reshuffled, I was called from Joburg, and I was told that Mr. Magashule wanted to speak to me, and he was in the Free State. But the records that we have point to something else, that he should have been in Joburg.
Yes. Okay. But you did get those. That's 98.3.
Yes.
And then 98.4, the presentation.
We got the presentation with regard to the new city, but with regard to the ICT hub, the work that we were doing with the university, Central University of Technology, we did not.
And what was the provincial government's explanation as to why they could not provide that?
I think they were to, as we said, some of this information when the legal team of the commission and the investigators and my team met with them, they promised to provide some of this information, and the due date was the Friday. We went there. It was on a
Wednesday.
On a Wednesday we went there, or was it a Thursday? And then they said on Friday it was the due date. Yes.
Mr. Dukwana, let me assist you. While you are opening Exhibit X, can you also go to Exhibit X1? Go to page 19 and open both pages so that you may be able to provide clarity as to the responses furnished to you, your legal team by the province. Page 1919. Could you please firstly identify that document? What is that document?
Status of availability of requested information.
And it was dispatched to your legal team from the province, am I correct? And it lists on the left column the information required. And
just before you proceed, don't move too far away from the microphone. Yes, okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
As I was explaining to you that on the left column, you'll see that it says information required, and the next column provides you with the status as to what was the response. Then you may be able to take the chair through the both documents so that at least we get a full picture of the status of those documents.
Maybe let's do it a little differently, just to complete what we have on what I want on page
29.
Paragraph 98.
Yes.
You can look at Exhibit X1, page 19, for purposes of seeing what answer you should give me if that is what, if you need it to help you with what the information, what happened. But I do want to follow the list in paragraph 98 of your affidavit. So we were at 98.4. You said you did get you did not get the presentation on the data hub concept. Is that correct? You said you did not get that.
Chair, in responding to that, can I go to just to demonstrate what I'm trying to say? First, I will say the presentation regarding the initial presentation on the data hub.
Yes.
I think it could be also the problem in understanding what we're talking about in this case.
Yes.
And if you allow me just to explain.
Yeah, do that.
There are two issues here. There is an ICT hub that was conceptualized by the Professor Mtembu.
Yes.
And
that's the ICT hub.
ICT hub.
Yes.
And this would be that presentation.
Okay.
And then there is also a presentation on the new city concept.
Yes.
And that, the new city concept, we got.
Oh, okay. So what is reflected in 98.4 you did not get, and that's the one relating to the ICT hub.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Chair.
That you did not get.
Yes, Chair. But
you
got the one
the other
on
one.
the new city.
On the new city.
Yes.
Had you asked for the one on the new city?
Yes, we had also asked for that.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you. And then 98.5, your diary you did not get.
I did not, Chair.
And what was the explanation given in regard to your diary?
They claimed that they could not get it.
They could not get it?
They could not get it.
Do you think you might have stood a better chance of getting it if you were allowed to look for it yourself in whatever offices or wherever, or archives, or you are happy to accept that if they say they can't find it, they probably can't find it? I know it's many years, so it might be difficult to find it. I don't know. So I'm just asking. I want to.
I don't think we will get it. Just to explain.
Yeah.
In the office of the MEC, in my office, there would be a hard copy of a diary.
Yes.
What the secretary, the PA, will do would also put down every engagement.
Yeah.
Even if somebody calls for next month, whatever, they will do that.
Yeah.
And then they will put it down.
Yes.
And then they will bring it to you.
Yeah.
And once you approve of this, they will then bring everything into a piece of paper.
Yeah.
That will be your weekly program.
Yes.
That will outline everything.
Yes.
But and then it will be put in my diary.
Yes.
A diary that will be in my office.
Yes.
Plus this weekly program.
Yes.
To allow me, in an event that there were to be a person who might need anything, and I could refer to the diary that I have in the office. And if, for instance, without also referring to them, I accept any invitation, etc., I would also be informed by what I had. And that would be in my office. And there would be, this is very strange, you would have one with the PA, you would have the same with the office manager, and the one with me in my office. For one to say you can't get all three of them, it's I would say it's ridiculous, to say the least.
Yes. So, but do you think if you were given access to look for it yourself, do you think that you would have a good chance of finding it if it is there? Or I just want to know whether it's something we still have reasonable prospects of finding if we try, or whether you think that it's not worth the effort. You would be able to, you have a better understanding of how things.
I would like to get such an opportunity, but as I say, I might go there, but also if somebody does not want you to find anything, might give you the chance to look for it when they know exactly that they've removed it. So the question is, if you take something from the office, what it is expected of every department or every public, in the public service, that you record, you take everything and you record everything. And whatever needs to be archived should be archived. The question is, why is my diary not archived? You know?
Well, that might be an important thing, because if the normal procedure is that after a year to which a diary relates has ended, it gets archived. So it ought to be possible to go to the archives and then find diaries from whatever year to whatever year. Then you ought to be able to say, well, let me go and have a look where it is supposed to be. It may be, I don't know whether after X number of years those documents get destroyed or not, I don't know, but if they are supposed to be placed or stored in a particular room, there is no reason why, if they say they can't find it, you or the commission can't be allowed to have somebody go there and have a look and be able to say, indeed, it is not there, but maybe all the other diaries are there, or what the position is.
I hope that we could try that.
Yeah.
And that would only be important just to demonstrate that this is what actually happened.
Yeah.
I know people who are concerned in this case would rebut what I'm saying, but the fact of the matter is the truth is the truth. You can't hide it.
Yeah, you see, it may be important to see whether the position is that all the diaries of all MECs which were supposed to be stored somewhere are no longer there, or whether only some or only yours is not there, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So with regard to 98, the list in 98, so
98.5.
Sorry?
98.5. That's what.
Yes, 98.5 you didn't get, and then 98.6 you also didn't get. Is that right?
There are some emails that we got, but there are
got.
many that we did not get.
Yes. Okay. And 98.1 you did not get because they said they used a wrong number or something, the cell number. I think that's what you said.
Yes.
Now, in regard to that, I know that in regard to other witnesses who have come here, or I've heard that the cell phone companies apparently don't keep records of phone calls beyond a certain number of years. I don't know if it's 5 years. I think 5 years seems to ring a bell with me. But there is no reason why, there is no reason why, as far as the Commission is concerned, the Commission has to only rely on the cooperation of the provincial government. I'm sure that there are procedures in terms of which they can approach the cell phone companies.
They have already done that.
They've already done that.
They're just waiting for
Yeah.
feedback. Yes.
Okay. No, that's fine. So that has been done, and in due course we will know what the result is.
But can I get some clarity here, Chair, or give some clarity? When we met on this date, we were with the DG and others. We were informed that the cell phone company had indicated that if you have, a certain number of years that lapsed, it will not be easy to get the information. So when we insisted, we then got this letter. And if you allow that I read this letter just for you to understand.
Yes, identify the letter and then share with us as to where is it coming from, so that we can be able to appreciate.
Yeah, who it comes from, who it is addressed to.
It is addressed to my attorney.
Yes.
It's from Mr. Fenter, the person who had undertaken per instruction of the DG to provide us with the information.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's addressed, the letter reads,
just raise your voice again.
The letter reads, Ngolisi Dugwana stroke, the Premier of Free State Province. One, we unfortunately have to inform you that despite submitting your client's permission to Vodacom, they still persist that the information should be obtained through a Section 205 subpoena. As we have informed your client on 15 March 2019, the only option appears to be a subpoena from the Commission. They have been requested to provide the response in writing and enclose their response herewith. The reason that I wanted to put this on record is to demonstrate that this was not the case when the other wrong number was used. The information that came back from them was that the information could not be accessed because a number of years had lapsed.
Yes.
But when we gave them the correct number,
Yes.
we are now told to go this route. The
Yes.
question is,
Yes.
why did we not go the same route earlier on
Yes.
before this time?
Yes.
That's
yes.
basically what I'm trying to point out here.
Yes, no, that's fine. You know, it may well be that it's not just the provincial government that is at fault of that, and maybe it is not at fault. Maybe it is the Commission. Why all along steps were not taken to get that information irrespective of any position taken by the provincial government. But I know that Mr. Mkwena, you might not have an answer for that, and I'm not asking for an answer, but I'm just saying we have to look at the Commission ourselves, because Mr. Dugwana came up and told the public part of his story, at least last year. We became aware of him last year, and as a matter of fact, I wanted him to give evidence before the end of last year. And I spoke to the Premier already last year in October to arrange that investigators of the Commission should travel to Bloemfontein and help him to access whatever he wanted. And as I said a week or two ago, I had not been told by then that there was that the provincial government was not cooperating, and we should long have had that. So, but again, Mr. Mkwena, I know you're looking at me helplessly because you might, this is something that you might not be ready. But we'll have to look at the Commission in terms of what needs to be done. But I'm happy that I think from what you have said, that step has been taken now, and in due course we will know the outcome.
I was assured by the Commission's investigators that this issue are receiving attention.
Yes. Okay, but thank you for bringing that to our attention, Mr. Dugwana. Thank you. Yes. So now, with regard to leaving out the cell phone records, which it looks like we will get at 98.1, then the only two items that you did not get at all are 98.4 and 98.5. 98.4 being the presentation in relation to the ICT hub, and 98.5 being your diary for the period you have indicated. And we have talked about your diary. And in regard to 98.6, you said you did get some emails, but not all. What was the explanation for you not being able to get all the emails you were hoping to get?
There was...
Were you given your... I assume this would be some computer that was used at some stage, and were you given access to the actual computer? It might or might no longer be working, I don't know, but, or did you just get told whatever and you didn't get a chance to satisfy yourself as to what was there and what was not there?
I think, Chair, if we allow with Exhibit X1 on
page 19.
The laptop used, that is number 4, on the left-hand side. The laptop used by myself during the term of office, that was also to help get this, and also for the team, the investigating team that had gone there with a person
a technical person
who would help this.
Yes.
And I think that one would be better dealt with by such people.
Yes, but do you know whether the actual computer is still in existence, or you don't know that you used that you used, or where the emails are supposed to be?
You know, a strange thing happened. You know, when I was after I was dismissed. I think almost in 2014. I then got a call from a station commissioner or commander in one station in Bloemfontein, who indicated to me that there were people who were to come, who were intending to come to me for an arrest, that I had stolen these items. And then when I indicated to him that, you know, it would have been better that it would have been better if they had come, so that we could deal with all these lies that were now coming up, because the laptop and all these things, even the cell phone. When I came back, I could not be, in terms of what governs us, in terms of the regulations. Once you are an MEC, and when you are removed, there's a period of time that you are given to make sure that you wind up everything. But in my case, it was on that day I was to vacate the office, and I was to hand over everything. And the unfortunate thing was that the laptop was still in my office, the office that was locked when I came in. So when they took everything out, as the normal procedure would be to record everything you take out of the office, so that you know exactly what you took out of the office and do that. That would also have been reflected in that. But it came out that some of these issues were actually in the use of the person who came to the office to work in the office, who actually replaced me. So I'm just saying.
So you don't know whether it still exists or not?
Yeah, I don't.
You don't know?
I don't.
Were you told whether it's no longer there, or were you not told?
As I was trying to relay that with this story,
yes,
and many others, it is easy to not to get the laptop that we need.
I wonder, Mr. Mkwana, whether in page 19 there's anything about whether the...
Yes, Mr. Chair, if you go to item 4, the last sentence on the column status, it says that efforts to recover the specific laptop is still underway. And I can also assure you that the Commission's investigators are constantly engaging the department in the Free State in order to also to have access to the hard drive. I'm told that that is also underway.
Yes, you know, these things being underway, you know, either there should be a computer sitting somewhere, or there's no computer.
Exactly.
You know, and if it is there, then people with necessary expertise can do what they need to do to see if those things can be, if emails can be retrieved. Why should it take ages?
We can only rely on the expertise of the investigating team and those that are having the knowledge to do that.
Yes. Just remind me, we need to really get that sorted out. Either there's a computer sitting somewhere, or there's no computer, and we should be knowing that by now. We should have known it a long time ago. Okay, all right. Okay, let's continue.
I see, Chair, it's way beyond the tea adjournment.
time.
Maybe this is the moment to adjourn.
Yeah. Okay, all right. It's 11:20. We'll adjourn and resume at 12:25. We adjourn.
All right.
There are no bites, eh?
They didn't confirm that bite.
Okay.
Call me.
Okay.
Yeah?
There's a beeping sound. I don't know if the camera's picking that up.
Is it,
Michelle, I can. Can you hear me?
are you picking it up there?
Great. Okay, Samkele is not with me. Just so you know.
Hi guys.
You need to move that.
So Erin is not throwing to a bite, no? Is she throwing to a bite or she's not? Is that bite ready? Okay, so it means Bongan didn't, it's fine. Listen, hello? Hello?
I don't know. Gloria, what's the name of the
No,
bite?
you said state capture 11, I sent, you know what, we don't have the bite, so it's
She
cool.
says they don't have it. I don't know about
You
this
don't
bite. Okay, that's fine. Then we'll leave it.
Cool, Shabia, okay, cool. Cool, stand by.
Stand by.
Do they have your audio?
Yeah, I think they have audio.
Thank you.
And then ask where's the money of the parks by the city parks? Where's the money of the development of Alexander by the mayors? Right? And then the premiers.
Thank you, Papa. Thank you. Can I hold it for you so that I'm able to manage you? Yeah, I'll hold it for you. It's fine. Just hold it. Yeah. Give me the mic. I'll hold it for you. I want to manage you. But Alexander. Yanung Ratsila, the problems Alexander Kaufela again. Yanung Rabua Kaufela Mo Yanung Mike, they are holding it for me. Kori, we must be able to leave the mic in time. But Agibatlo Wakadi problem style Alexander. Ratsiba the problem style Alexander. Gibatlo Butla Kama Shaba and why Alexander is not developed. We have been involved with Mr. Pakstow, the previous mayor. Everything was in order for the development of Alexandra, even with all the property owners. We were ready, we signed, Santon, we signed the statement of intent for the development of Alexandra. Herman Mashaba was only supposed to take it up and make sure that Alexandra gets developed. You know what he did? He says, I will not touch anything that comes from the ANC. Up till today, Alexandra is stagnated. Renality problems, we don't know where to start, where to finish. Rilwanza, one lead the other. Santen Khona Yanung, Aritzibi Khuriria, Bramfontein. My point, Batu Kaufela, Rikwale Alexander, Lee Senton, Lee Johannesburg, Kaufela, Ria Street Ko Bramfontein, Rinka, the Batu Badi taxing, Reserve Savona, Riva Tangata. That one day, they must take us to Bramfontein, Kaufela, Alexander, resolve a problem, Alexander. We are the oldest city in the whole of Johannesburg, in the whole of Transvaal since that day. Let us stand together. Let us all go together to where it matters. Because Santon, all this loitering and stuff. Let us go to the mayor's office, Rakena Kamukhari. If he can't come out on that day, we must ask the DA to remove him from the seat as a mayor. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mama.
Hi, babe. But when you made some Alexander Mantle, Napoto Yaka Kulukuri. Cabano Rebatan, Tate Mashaba Ate Rebatan Tate. Marikama presidente ate rebatlanta te makura ka tshepiso gore o tla boya a tlo maintaina taba ya dintlo ba tseno ke batlo tseba gore batho ba nne ba allocate mo le batho ba housing ba kae because ke bona batho mileng nyaka yotlhe e ya tsagala mole ke bona batho today ba lwantshang batho ba shwele ka lebaka la bona mara ge batho bo mashaba ba tla le bo makhura batho ga ba tle le batho ba Department of Housing ba tlo re botsa gore why ba entse botlhakatlhakano e le ba entseng kodimo o mmametse and then batho ba modimo re kgathetse re tswalla mo Alexander Moharadi one room re kgathetse go robala le ditlogolo le ditlogolwana bana ba rona ba godile ba robala mo fatshe ebile ba ile ko university ba tseba dimpeto ga ba le ko res ga ba fitlha mo ba reng ke mo ga bo bona ba robala mo fatshe re kgathetse batho ba bodimo ke a le kopa nako e ke nako ne ntse ke emetse all along ke iputsa gore badudi ba Alexander le ko kae why re sotlega why re dula mo ditshile re tlo feleletsa re kena ke malwetse batho ba tsholla matlakala mo distrateng ga re sa tlhomphana ga re sa tlhompha le batho ba bagolo batho ba modimo nna ke a le kopa a strike se se tswele pele till ba tlo re botsa re tshwantse re etseng mara point ya ka e kgolo gore ke kopa batho ba housing bo Jacob ne ba re sia kwa re tshwere di-seafomo a re kgantsetsa a ratsa marwalo kate ba re sia kwa andre se re tletse ya ka letletse so ha ba boya ka bofortloko ba re a kwala tsamayang ba tsamaya ba tsotsa di 10,000 ba rekisa dintlo tsa rona ba di rekisa tsele le batho ba ba sa qualifying mo South Africa le mametse so ke kopa bo Jacob ba tla ba tlo re botsa gore why ne ba etsa so ke kopa batho ba housing le bona ba be teng ba bitswe ba tle mo meeting ke a leboga
Mashaba, wa tseba ke se ha ke itse nka o bona ko kae ngwana o sena molao wa ke se be mmao le papa ke ba kae sefebe ko ana sa mkhalabe mo le nteng ka motla sa mpeto ha dikoba tsa basadi ba bang ha ona bophelo ko wena ra sokola from 96 to 96 to fitla na banong 24 years ha ke na ntlo bile ke tsofetse ka baka la house febe ko wena ha nka o kreya
Thank you, Mom. How come you
Sanbona nonke angikhulumi noMashaba yedwa uMashaba yikho into engayikhuluma mayikwazi ukuhlula ipresident mina ngisilutho ngicela nama organization asiphethe ngicela ke kube neqiniso kithi sonke njengoba silana khona bathi mabebona omunye ugogo thathe ngathi akazange azale akabazalanga khona ingane zethu eziningi ezifile ngendaba zama organization angenalo iqiniso amakhansela ngiyawacela ukuthi makwenziwa ama meeting aso kukhona ezinye ingane ezintsha manje izelwe ezinye seyihambile emhlabeni ezalwela thina zihambile kusele labo goga basele nobuhlungu abanabo namhlanje yini Friday ngolwesithathu bengihamba la estradini ebusuku ngo1 o'clock ngidampwe ngamaphoyisa epolice station ngishaywa ngabantwana izukulu akusinana abantwana yizukulu ngishaywa phambi kwamaphoyisa ngibonga ubaba waseBioscope Forminki okwazile ukuthi angimele naye bekaseduze ukuthi ashaywe ngamaphoyisa ngoba ekhuluma iqiniso ngiyacela ukuthi ubaba uMashaba eze ngiyacela ukuthi amakhansela eze ngoba yiwo ahlanganisa abantu ngamakhanda amakhansela makatshela abantu amaqiniso ugogo mangabe ehlele endlini ahleli kuyo makube neqiniso eliphumayo ukuthi uhleli kanjani kungavunyelwa ingane ukuthi masishaya abantu abadala kungavunyelwa ukuthi abantu abadala mabahlukumeza abantwana mangingaka ngina 67 years angeke ngize ngikhuluma mangaphambi kaNkuluNkulu kodwa lento lengiyibonile ngizoshaywa ingane phambi kwamaphoyisa amaphoyisa mayithatha ithombe ashaya umuntu othatha isithombe because isini yenzeka phambi kwabo bathulila balamula benza ilutho bangithatha bayongilahlela epolice station angazi ngizobuya ngani ngithi ngiyabonga ngibonga kakhulu kulo mntwana lo e-avance ongithole e-4 wafike wabuza ukuthi gogo ufunani la ngalesikhathi ngamtshela ukuthi kwenzakalani wathi gogo ngithi ngene emotweni ngiyokubeka endlini yakho wafike wama ngavula igate ngangena ngakhathi ngithuka lesikhathi ngisuke 15 bengingathukanga ngithi ngiyabonga kuForminko okwazile ukuthi azothatha ithombe endlini yami lezingane la ibhoboze khona obondeni zingitshontshela impahla ziza ngakuza kodwa umthetho ayikho into eyenzakele ngiyabonga baphathi.
Do you have any restrictions?
Qina mhlali qina. Buya mthetho buya. Hamba masaba hamba. Bahlali. Thina our demands are simple. Sifuna kubuya umthetho. Izindlu ezihleli on pavements kumele ziwiswe. So that abantwana bethu nathi sonke must have a place to walk. Pavements were meant for that. Enye into bahlali. Infrastructure libraries yawa because of abantu they are demanding Wi-Fi. Every day if you hamba library udlula or 8 wonke umuntu uncike on a wall to get Wi-Fi. We are demanding that Masaba ensures that Alexandra has got full Wi-Fi for everyone. Wi-Fi is going to help us educate our people. Furthermore, if Masaba can't act, he must at least fire JMPD heads because they are failing to enforce bylaws. Those are our simple demands. Furthermore, what do you mean? Furthermore, we must take the fight exactly to him in his offices.
Topic on the documents, can you refer to Annexure X1, page 19? You have dealt with some...
Exhibit X1. Exhibit
X1.
Not annexure. Yes.
Exhibit X1. Page 19. Just to complete a picture, is there any other things that you want to highlight to the chair in relation to the document that you required?
Yes, sir. Yes, Chair.
Yes.
I just want to indicate that if you check that with regard to the presentation to the Executive Council, that is number 7 of the ICT Hub, the Free State was saying there is no record that could be found that such a presentation was made to the Executive Council. And this could not be the truth in the sense that on the 23rd of July 2009, in my budget vote speech of the department, I made the following announcement. The partnership with the Central University of Technology and SATAM, one of the largest information technology companies in the world, based in India, in creating a regional hub for software development and information technology skills. So I spoke about this.
Yes.
And I could not have spoken about this in my budget vote without going to the Executive Council.
Yes.
So this also demonstrates that there is something unto what that needs to be dealt with in relation to this.
Yes.
So this is the first one. The second one, Chair, if you allow, that relates to just to demonstrate that what has been the difficulty from my side in getting the information, including the role of the judiciary in the Free State. And that would be in reference to the Anton Peel application. As I stated that on the said date, on the 25th of October, 2018, this is where we did the application. And on the 13th of February, 2019, my legal representative caused a letter to be addressed to the learned judge. And that was annexure marked DMS1, the letter that was addressed to the judge. And on the 14th of February, I would like also to read some of these. 2019, an email confirming receipt of the said letter was received from the office of the Judge President of Free State, confirming that the letter was referred to the judge concerned. For ease of reference, annexure DMS2 is given. And if you remember that the legal team had to ask for postponement on the 25th of March 2019. And on the same day, my legal team addressed a letter to the Judge President of Free State to intervene. For ease of reference, annex here to marked DMS3, a copy of the letter dated 25th. And I would like also at some stage to go back to that letter.
Yes.
And on the 27th March, my legal team, the Commission's legal team and investigators went to the meeting, and we have this. But what is very interesting is on page, that is the page 11 of the Exhibit X1. It's whilst we were in Bloemfontein on the 27th March, my attorney received a telephone call from his correspondent attorney stating that the judgment is to be handed down on the 1st of April. On the 1st of April 2019, my legal team was meeting the chair of the commission together with the members of the commission's legal team and investigators to brief the chairperson about the visit to the premier's office. In that regard, my attorney's correspondent went to court to note the judgment. Now, I just want to bring the attention to you, Chairperson. If you read this, that is what my attorneys wrote to the judge. That will be on page 17. Just reading this for your attention. We act for and on behalf of the first and second respondents in the matter in the subject of this correspondence. Our correspondents are E.G. Cooper Majid Incorporated. And I'm raising this deliberately to demonstrate something, on the order of that we received. On the 25th of October, an Anton Peel application between the parties was heard by the acting deputy judge president. The reason for the application was to preserve documents, as we have expressed. On the 13th of February 2019, our correspondents addressed a letter to the learned judge asking for the date on which the judgment will be handed down. To date, there is no response to the said letter, which for ease of reference is attached marked A. And if you read the DCJ's directive, that is number 5, at the Commission, has the effect of rendering the penny judgment nugatory. However, on behalf of Mr. Dukwana, we are of the considered view that an order by the court might still help in assisting the Commission to get the information required to execute the mandate. Now, the fact that I'm raising this, Chairperson, is I then, on page 20, my attorney received the order from the High Court. This will be in the High Court of South Africa, Free State Division, Bloemfontein. The case is there in the matter between myself and the Premier of the Free State. Having considered the notice of motion and the other documents filed of record and having had counsel for applicant, it is ordered that the rule nisi is discharged with cost, which cost include the reserve cost of the 1st of October 2018. And also advised by my attorney, it was the time when they went there and the judge requested that they were in the chambers of the judge. And for the judge to ask for charges for cost in this matter is something that, even myself as a person who's a layman in this case, it was my attorneys that went there and met the judge, but the judge is asking for cost in this case.
So which date, to which date does that relate?
It is the first when my attorneys, my legal team went to meet with the said judge.
Yes.
And it was on the 18th of October.
Yes.
The same judge, 2018, requested the postponement to the 25th because she wanted to go through the documentation herself. But if you check, this is the order now given to us. With all this, it was at their request that this should be postponed to the 25th, but she's now hitting us with the cost.
Yes.
And also, I read my attorney,
yes,
the correspondent, and E.G. Cooper, but if you check that, there's Hill and McCarthy and Herbst, I don't know them. And the correspondence that we use not appearing anywhere on this chart.
Yes.
So this is just a reflection, and as an activist in the ANC in the Free State, it has actually become a challenge, especially looking at the judiciary in the Free State and a number of things that had happened to extent that many of us started having problems when it comes to any matter that would relate to the Free State situation, especially in any matter that relates to Isma Khashule and others. This would have been the tendencies. This, I can relay the whole story, including the Constitutional Court ruling in 2012, and what then happened, in 2007, there was a ruling against the Free State, but also if you go 2012, every time you have a problem with what happens in the Free State, High Court. So I'm just stating this as a problem. For instance, one would have expected that this arm of the justice system, the judiciary in this case, would do everything to help the commission to do its work. If it is, for instance, when we met with the DG, he indicated to us, it was like we are doing you a favor, because he said, we are prepared to give you the information, even if the court has not given us, or there's no ruling from the court. So we are still, it's like we are doing you a favor by giving this information even before the court could have ordered us. But we have got this now, what the court is saying, the ruling from this order. And this is going to create a problem and an attitude in the province in terms of giving us this information. The province can easily say, the court has actually ruled in this, and then it now depends on what they are willing to do and not willing to do in terms of giving us this information. So I'm just saying this is a challenge that many of us have, and many of the people who would like also to come, especially in the Free State, would like to come to the commission, who would be deterred by behavior such as this that we see. And this is what I just wanted to put on the table on this matter.
No, thank you, Mr. Tuwana. I understand that today is the date when you are expecting reasons for the order that was made by the judge. Is that correct? Was an undertaking. I seem to have seen something to the effect that the full judgment or reasons would be given by today, or did I misunderstand something? You don't remember whether any undertaking has been made in that regard? I thought I saw something like on the 5th of April. Well, maybe Mr. Sitini might be able to assist.
Yes. May I assist, Chair?
Yes.
That is paragraph 23.
Yes.
Yes.
Of Exhibit X1?
Of Exhibit X1, paragraph 23.
Thank you. And is it to the same effect? Or did I misunderstand?
It is to the same effect from
Yes.
the correspondent attorneys.
Yes. Okay. So I guess that hopefully the full judgment will be out today, and we will everybody will get to hear what to read what the judge's reasons are. That's number one. And I guess that there too maybe will be something to deal with the delay in disposing of the matter. 3, it may be that either the Commission's legal team or your legal team or the two of them working together, they may need to apply their minds to what you have said about, for example, the date, I think the 1st of October, when you say, I think your legal team went to the judge, the judge's chambers, and then now costs are being awarded against you for that. And then I don't know whether that's the date or another date when you say the matter was postponed.
The 18th.
Sorry?
The 18th.
18th of October. Yes. As I understand, the point you are making, it seems to be that the postponement had nothing to do with you. It was the judge who had not had a chance, as you understand the position, to read the papers, but now the order here says you must pay for those costs. That's part of your concern. So it may be that either the Commission's legal team or your legal team or both work together to look at those concerns, because they would know if, for example, in relation to the first, for example, what the position was, they would know if normally costs would be awarded for what happened and so on. And once they have looked at that, maybe a supplementary affidavit, if it's necessary, can be made, where one then can understand your concerns maybe better. So maybe the teams can look at that. At this stage, you have certain concerns, but you are not a lawyer, and the lawyers might know some of the things that you don't understand. But from that affidavit, or after you have spoken to them, they might be able to say, no, this is something that should go to a supplementary affidavit, or they might explain things to you to your satisfaction. I'm not sure. I'm just mentioning that they hear what I'm saying, and then at some stage they will inform me of what they think. Okay. Mr. Sitini, you do look like you would like to say something.
Thank you very much, TCJ. I think my understanding from Mr. Dukwana is that his journey to the Commission has been littered with difficulties.
Yes.
He had approached the High Court,
yes,
seeking to get information.
Yes.
And what has since transpired,
yes,
is that from 25th of October,
yes,
when the matter was heard,
yes,
to the 13th of February, when the first letter was was addressed to the judge,
Yeah.
asking the judge, when are we going to get
The judgment.
the judgment?
Yes.
25th of March, after meeting with the DCJ, coming
Yes.
here to postpone the matter,
Yes.
a letter was addressed now to the JP of the Free State, asking him to intervene. 27, whilst we were in Bloemfontein, a correspondent called our attorney to say the judge wants to see you on the 1st of April. What Mr. Dukwana is saying, the letter of the 25th of March addressed to the JP might have caused what one may call judicial irritation. That much is explained in the order granted. Mr. Dukwana says the correspondence that are listed there are unknown to himself and to his to his attorney.
Okay.
And what also he's saying is, on the 1st of October, that's when we approach court. In camera, we're here in camera in judge's chamber. That's a different judge. Who granted the ante pillar? It's the 1st of October.
Yes.
And the matter was set down for 18th of October. On the said day, 18th of October, there was an issue about, well, the judge said that he needed time to go through papers properly and was inclined to hear the matter on the 25th of March. Of October. Yes, of October. That happened. Now, what Mr. Dukwana is saying, why should he be marked with costs of the 1st October and the 18th of October?
Yes.
When
yes.
the postponement was not even occasioned by him.
Yes.
Why on the 1st? Because the order of the 1st
Yes.
says in the main application, the issue of cost will be dealt with.
Yes.
Now, the order doesn't address in any way what happens on the 25th, whether costs are not awarded or bio-watch principles apply. So that's what I think
he's talking about.
he's talking about.
Okay.
And I doubt there will be any need for any supplementary. Yes, because
affidavit.
this one clarifies it, and perhaps what will be important is for Mr. Dukwana to be guided to read things into record, so that he's not he doesn't talk from his memory, because some of the things may escape his attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stini. Mr. Dukwana, do you confirm that captures what you really wanted to raise?
Yes, it does.
It does?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Dukwana, I need to move to another topic, but before we do that, can I refer you to Exhibit X with particular reference to paragraph 96, simply to capture the essence of what you've been conveying to the chair about the documents. Could you please read that paragraph?
I'm aware that the evidence or the contents of my affidavit do not have precise dates in certain incidents referred to above. That is due to the fact that I have not been afforded requisite information to be of assistance to the Commission. I verily believe that the information I require to provide sufficient particulars of the state capture activities referred to above is in the custody of the Free State Government.
And that's the essence of your testimony pertaining to documents, am I right? Yes. In paragraph 97, you say, I have a reasonable apprehension that some crucial information or evidence I require has already been destroyed. Can you please elaborate why do you say that?
Recently, some of the people who were working in my office, some who had taken some of the trips out to India, had some of the information in their files removed. And as I say, this, with all the understanding that I have, it's very possible in the Free State.
Yes. May I refer you to page 11, paragraph 34? From that paragraph, you are now introducing a new topic. You are dealing with your visit to Sahara offices, am I correct?
Yes.
And that trip, according to your statement, occurred in February 2008.
Yes, it did.
Now, before February 2008, did you encounter the Gupta brothers in any capacity?
No, not at all.
Now, could you share with the chair, in your own words, what the events leading to you having to visit the Sahara offices?
Chair, on this particular day in February, I was at the Southern Sun Catherine Hotel in Sandton. And I had finished my meeting, I was just relaxing. And Ace Makashule came, and I was not surprised that he was there because it has been the hotel that he used frequently, or he frequented.
What was your capacity at the time, and what was Mr. Ace Makashule's capacity?
At the time, Mr. Makashule was the MEC of economic development, was the MEC of, it was sport.
And your capacity?
I was the MEC of safety.
Yes. Okay, proceed.
We were in Joburg, and he then asked me to accompany him to Midrand because I was not doing anything, and I felt it would be good to go with him.
Did you ask him? Did you ask him where in Midrand and what were you going to do in Midrand?
I said, let's go to Midrand. There's something that I want to go there and do quickly. And so there was no reason for me because I was not doing anything at the time. I was just waiting for traffic to slow down and be able to move. And we drove together in the car that he was using. And we arrived at the Sahara offices because the writing was too big for the signage for anyone to see. It's Sahara offices. At the time, I did not know what these offices were about, and we were welcomed by a person who introduced himself to me as Tony, and it was Tony Gupta. Later that I then learned that he's actually referred to as Rajesh, but I was introduced to him as Tony Gupta, and he took us through their offices and in the main, the computer warehouse, and as he was doing this, he was narrating the history, how they came about, as the family ended up in South Africa and how they started their businesses from whatever little money they had. So he was excited in relating this story. You could see a person who was very proud of the achievement, etc., etc. And as we were doing...
I'm sorry. Did you get any impression about whether that history was for your benefit or whether it was for the benefit of both you and Mr. Makashule? Or you,
Because
you,
I did
you
not,
can't tell?
I did not know whether they had met before.
Yes.
I took that he was
Yes.
telling us this history for all of us to know, both of us to know.
Okay, all right.
But did Mr. Makoshule participate in the conversation with him?
No, he was the only one who was talking at the time, and he was showing us around and narrating this history. And then he then asked Mr. Makoshule if he had brought that. He just said, "Did you bring that?" And just extending a hand, just did you bring that? And at that time, Ace handed him a copy of his ID. And then he then said, "Let me go and make a copy of this." I don't think at the time Ace expected that this would be requested in my presence, because I could see the surprise in his face. And it was at that time when he then indicated to me that, I'm going to be getting into business with Sahara, and he then indicated to me that because of his exposure as a political person, he would rather have his son, SABC, dealing with this. And he deliberately said to me that there is no law in the country that prohibits his son from doing business with any person. And it cannot be the fact that because he's involved in government that the son can be stopped from doing business. So I was not arguing with him. And at the time I did not understand why the explanation and everything. But as I say, I could only deduce that it was because it was said in my presence, and he did not expect that. Although he had taken me there, I think he would have expected that they would go somewhere and deal with this matter. He then explained himself in that way. So,
did he explain to you what type of business was he going to engage with the Gupta brothers?
I just thought that they were just in the space of these computers, etc. So I just thought that maybe it was that.
Yes. And that what happened then?
And then after some time, Tony came back and handed over to Mr. Makoshule his ID, and looked at me and said, "Did you bring yours? Do you have your ID with you?" And I just shrugged and said, "No." And then we laughed, and he took us, he accompanied us back to our car, and we drove back.
Did you converse with Mr. Makoshule about that event? Did he give you any more details about what have transpired?
No, in the car, all that he was saying is it's high time that one also start doing business, and that I think I'll be much more comfortable with my son doing business with him.
Did it appear like the main reason for going there was to deliver the ID so that a copy could be made?
That's the thing. That's what happened, other than the tour of the warehouse. Because after that, we did not go to any office, etc. We just went through the warehouse and back to where we had parked our car. So to me, that would have been the only reason that he was just taking the ID there.
Yes. Now, from paragraph 41, you are dealing with another topic, which is the trip to India. Before we deal with the contents of it, do you recall when more or less did that trip take place? To the best of your recollection, if you may.
It was somewhere in I think it would be October in 2009.
Yes, and in what capacity were you undertaking that trip?
I was the MEC of economic development.
Now, do you recall if there were any other delegations that accompanied you?
Yes, the Professor Mtembu. And at the time, I also recall that Shugara Makarane, who was also the HOD, I can't remember which department, but he was responsible for the cluster. He was heading the cluster, economic cluster. So he also accompanied me.
And what was the purpose of the trip?
If
Maybe
I can,
before the purpose, just repeat the name of the other person who was in the delegation other than Professor Mtembu.
Shugara Makarane.
Okay. Do we need the spelling?
No.
Okay, all right.
I'm sure that I've got it right.
The transcribers will know it.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Yes.
If I will refer to X2, that deals with welcome to become South African Silicon Valley.
Chair, X2 is that document that was handed over today. It's a separate page with the heading "Welcome to."
Yes.
Welcome to become SA. Welcome.
Yes.
To become SA Silicon Valley.
Yes.
That read with what I indicated on the 23rd July 2009 in the Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs budget vote speech.
Mm-hmm.
This was a project that the professor had actually initiated.
Mm-hmm.
He felt
that is Professor Mtembu.
Professor Mtembu, Thando Mtembu.
And at that time, what institution was he attached to?
The CUT.
The Central University of Technology.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. Yes, continue.
And
and I'm sorry, Mr. Tugwana. So I just want to make sure I can make a certain link. Does Exhibit X2 relate to what you earlier on referred to as the ICT hub?
It does, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
It does.
Thank you.
We have had a numerous interaction with the institution, with the university, as the department, with the intention of looking at how we can rebuild the economy of the Free State. And we are taken into consideration that the fact of the matter that we're a province that was, if you like, at the center of the country. And at the time, we had almost about 5 fiber optic cables that were running through the province. From Western Cape, we had about 3, and from Mtunzini in Natal, we had about 2. And we felt that it was high time that we benefited from all these infrastructure that was going through our province. And we looked at the province, and we found that the mining area was very depressed, needed some catalyst project that would bring Valcom, Odendaas, Virginia, Allen Ridge, Henneman, bring some life in the area, as the decline in mining was having its toll on the economy of the area, as it had depended heavily on mining. So we then felt that we needed to start a hub in the area. And the professor had worked a lot in trying to come up with the proposal for this kind of a hub, the IT hub. And we agreed that we need to have an electronics manufacturing hub that would be placed in Machabeng area. And at the time, as we were working on the details, we also felt that, and we're working with the National Association of Manufacturers in electronic components, And they were also prepared to occupy, to be the first group that will occupy the new site. And this project, unfortunately, as I relate, was the initial project that was going to catapult the Free State, especially the Machabeng area, into becoming a Silicon Valley, if you like, of South Africa. We're looking at this as the project that will be a highway to Africa in terms of IT, as well as the manufacturing of electronics. And the fact that also you have younger people, the population was young, we felt that it was a better way of making sure you have a sustainable development in the area that would help grow the economy of the place. So we worked on this idea, and the CUT was working with Satyam, and the Satyam had actually indicated to them or given them an offer to bring about 42 or so students that would undergo training. And these students would then be the pioneers in terms of what was going to happen in the area. And that was the reason why this trip was undertaken, where we went to Satyam to further discuss this working together relationship.
So this was a government project that was supposed to be spearheaded by the province?
Yes, yes.
And what happened to it ultimately? Is it linked to the City of Tomorrow in any manner?
As we were discussing this kind of a project, we felt that it should not be in isolation from other issues that can develop in this. We also looked around at the time after 1994. There was no, post-apartheid city that had been developed by a new government. And we felt that we needed to build a new city that would incorporate the 5 or 6 towns in the Lejweleputswa and provide that boost in the economy of the area. So the ICT hub was just a catalyst project that will attract many other interested parties into the new city that will be developed.
So you will also develop that testimony in relation to what you're stating on paragraph 75, page 22, Mr. Chair, of Exhibit X.
Did you say page 22?
Yes, page 22 of Exhibit X. So that becomes linked later with the City for Tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we'll deal with it in due course.
Just to clarify, you have the ICT Hub project. Then you have got the City for Tomorrow project. Were they two separate projects, but they needed to be managed closely together, or were they not two separate projects? I just want to understand.
The first one, the ICT Hub, as I say, was a concept coming from the university and working together with the university.
Yes.
So that was building the ICT Hub and the university helping in establishing
yes.
that. In the department, we felt we needed also something to piggyback on this kind of a project.
Yes.
That will be a bigger project that will include other things.
Yes, that's the City for Tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they started at different times. Yes. The first one was the ICT Hub, because that one was conceptualized at the University of Technology, Central University of Technology. But once the department became aware of this concept, the department then began to think about City for Tomorrow. And then, but City for Tomorrow would be maybe an extension of ICT Hub or a consequence of ICT Hub?
A consequence of an ICT,
Hub. Okay, but it would be correct to view the two as separate projects?
Yes, it will be correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Chair will deal with what transpired with the City of Tomorrow in due course.
In due course,
yes.
Yeah, no, that's fine. You are still at the trip to India?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Tukwana, what is the relevance of this trip to India in relation to the issues that you are canvassing in a statement?
As I said, that our visit there was a process that would help us get the best people in terms of developing the ICT hub. But as it became, as I said, it became a bigger project later on. We felt that we needed this becomes important in the sense that it links with the City of Tomorrow, and which also became a subject later when there was this visit to the Guptas. Yes. So it is important in the sense that it is actually the ICT hub that also gave birth to the idea of building a new city, wherein we felt that because of the young generation and also the fact that we were in the 21st century and so many things were happening, we thought that it would be appropriate not only to look into ICT, we should also look into sports, look into creative economy, and make sure that we encompass everything. And that is what would then go into the City of Tomorrow project. But this one, the ICT hub, was the initial project conceptualized by the university, and we bought into that and worked with the university in order to realize this. So that trip, with the fact that we were also going to negotiate putting up some of the students. They had actually, I think it was 42 or so. We thought that if we can negotiate with them to increase the number, that will be better for us in terms of making sure that we have the requisite skills when we start the project.
Yes.
And why India? Why was India chosen for this trip and for this kind of engagement?
The university had started discussions and
with
cooperations with SATIAM at the time.
Yes.
So it was not because we preferred India, it was because of already existing relationships.
Okay.
Yes. We will deal with the City for Tomorrow. From paragraph 46, you are dealing with the visit to the Gupta compound. Can you share with the chairperson as to the events relevant to that visit?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if I missed this. That trip to India, did it produce anything?
Unfortunately, I should say, no, not what we expected. Because when we got there, there were some expectations from our side. Mm. As we were engaging with the said company or institution, they were willing to come into the party, but it was now a different view altogether from what they had communicated with the university. Mm. In fact, they were requesting us also, as government, as the department, to facilitate for them to get work in the country, or in the province, for them to be able to fund these students that would be placed at the center.
So they were putting some conditions to them agreeing to assist with the 42 students.
Yes, and also the fact that at the time, Professor Mtembu was not happy that these were conditions that were not put to them before. The understanding was that they were willing to take in these students, and this is what we were made to believe, and the university believed. But upon arriving there, it was something different now. They wanted in exchange for us to do that we should then do something.
Okay, so, but other than simply that the trip did happen and that it didn't produce anything, there's nothing of any significance about the trip to India. Is that right?
Yes, especially with regard to what we were expecting.
Yes, okay, all right.
I was referring you to page 15, paragraph 46, where you are now dealing with your visit to the Gupta compound. 46. Can you please take the chair through the relevant events pertaining to that trip or pertaining to that visit?
It is 2012, Chair. We going for the provincial elective conference. I'm the treasurer of the ANC, and my responsibility with other members is to raise funds for such an activity, for such activities. And here an opportunity arises when the chairperson, the former chairperson at the time, Isma Khashule, then called me and indicated that he had arranged a fundraising dinner for me with some businesses who were mostly from the Free State but based here, and that we needed to do that, to come. It was not the first time that has happened. At some stage, we ended up at a house owned by one lady that was in the province, and we had such an event taking place, and then when this opportunity arose, we then took it upon ourselves, and I accepted, and I agreed. He then told me that I should not worry in terms of arranging the traveling. He will do that for me, and my office should not do that. His office will do.
And how did you travel to Johannesburg?
We flew.
You flew, yes.
At that time, you were MEC for Economic Development plus treasurer, provincial treasurer of the party?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, all right.
Yes, you flew to Johannesburg, then what happened? On arrival at the airport?
On arrival here, we were met.
Or maybe let's say first, what airline did you use? Do you remember?
Yes, Express, SA Express.
SA Express, okay, all right. You arrived, and then?
When we got to OR Tambo, as usual, if you're talking about a person now who's the premier, and we are not accompanied by VIP protection, the normal process would be the office would make arrangement for such, even if it is an ANC activity. Because he's the premier, they would make arrangements that VIP services would meet him here. So I thought that was going to be the case, but that was not the case. We were met by people there, and driven white guys, driven in separate cars, and followed each other. And
were you in different cars, the two of you?
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. And the other thing that I want to point out was the dinner was going to be in the afternoon, but we left early. And to me, it did not make any sense, but I did not ask him why. And when we got into these cars, I thought that it was his own arrangement, but still it puzzled me that it was now waste, because at the time I thought, you know, here is a white person, you know, as a security and dressed. So I thought that it was a security or VIP. And they took us, they drove us. We got into Saxon World. And while with my little knowledge of Johannesburg or Gauteng, I thought maybe there is an easier way to send it, running away from traffic or so. But it was not to be. When I immediately noticed as we approaching this it's Saxon this avenue or so, that I immediately we got into a corner. I could see a building that became familiar to me because it was for some time it was on the news for a number of things. One was because of the DA councillor in that ward had raised misgivings to what was happening in terms of the construction that was taking place in the compound, and there was argument that it was not in terms of the bylaws, etc. And also there was an issue, a story that had gone about the Guptas landing a helicopter at Zoo Lake. So that became, to me, as soon as I saw that and where we were stopping, I then, you know, while we were here at the Gupta's compound, and we were met. As soon as we got it through, there was a security house, right, as we were in the car, the right side of the car. We got into the compound, and there was this man that I met at the Sahara offices again, Tony, who welcomed us. And as we went through up the stairs into the compound, into the house, he politely requested me to hand over my cell phone, which I did.
Do you know why?
I thought maybe this is what they do. I don't know why. I did not even ask. So I gave them, and I expected they would do the same, but they did not do the same with Ace Makashule.
At that time, did you ask Mr. Makashule as to why has he brought you to the Gupta compound?
No, there was no reason for me to ask, because, as I say, with the information, with what I knew at the time, that and by that time I knew that he was also working with the Guptas in terms of businesses, as we had taken that trip there. So I thought that it was a visit that he was taking. It was a detour for him to meet this, and it made sense to me why we left earlier, so that he could meet with these people. So there was no reason for me to ask him. So I thought it was his business. My business was going to be in the afternoon.
Yes. So you are being ushered into the house, and what happens?
We get into the house, the phone is taken, and I'm shown, I'm directed to a room, and I then found a pile of newspapers, and I'm given one to read, but I just did not feel like reading. And I was then asked if I needed something, and then I asked for a grape tizer rate, and I was given that, and they disappeared. I don't know where they went. So it was not my business to ask.
When you say they disappeared, who disappeared?
I was with Ace, and we met with Tony, and it was only the three of us at the time, and I'm given a place to sit, a room to go into and sit, and then they, after asking what I would drink, or and then they went away.
And then what happened?
I stayed there for some time. I mean, and I don't think it was more than 15 minutes or so. And then they came out. But when they came out, when I saw people coming into this room, it was no longer the two, that is Ace and Tony. They had other people. And the person that I could recognize was Duduzane, and also Ibashama, because we had met before.
You say Duduzane Zuma?
Duduzane Zuma.
And who?
And Ibashama, but there were other people that were there.
Now they came into the room, then what happened thereafter?
And then...
So, I'm sorry, so the names that you can remember of people who came into the room, apart from Mr. Mahashule, it was Tony, that is Rajesh Gupta, Mr. Sharma, Mr. Duduzane Zuma. Those are the names you can remember. But you say there were other people, but you can't remember, or you didn't know who they were.
No, I did not know who they were.
About how many? Those that you didn't know, or you
There could have been more than 4.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, proceed.
And it then dawned to me at that time that there's going to be a meeting. And I looked straight at Ace Mahashule's eyes, and throughout he was looking down. So I wanted to,
Did you want to communicate something?
Yes, I wanted to know what was happening. And immediately, Tony did not waste time. He shot straight to the point.
But you didn't get a chance to communicate with Mr. Esmachashwe because he was looking down.
He was just looking down.
So you were not able to communicate.
And then he did not sit. He was just sitting across, across the table.
Okay, all right.
And immediately there, when we were there, when the meeting started, he then said, Tony introduced himself as, I'm Tony. And he did not introduce any other person. And he said, this will be with me. And he said, the reason we called you, we wanted you to be here, it's simple. He then said, I'm a businessman. All I know is business. I don't know anything about politics. So you guys know about politics. And immediately they was referring to me as a brother. You see, my brother, we are into business, and you are into politics. And, you're trying to find your feet in the whole thing. My mind is going on. I'm just asking myself, what's going on here? And immediately, he then gave me a letter. And he then said, this is the letter we would like you to sign. You can go through it. Immediately, I got the letter. I saw a letterhead of the office. My office at the time, the MEC, in government, you have the MEC's office. There will be a letterhead of the MEC's office. That will be to communicate, to make sure that you're not using the department, because that would be the responsibility of the accounting head. In this case, it would be the head of the department, and we'll have the department's letterhead. But this was the office of the MEC. And immediately that worried me, how did it end up here? Because I don't remember any person asking me to provide them with the letterhead. And as I read the letterhead, it was addressed to Nulane Investments, and it was stating all the processes that we were taking in terms of the ICT hub, the city of tomorrow, and all that it was doing was actually, it was kind of an appointment letter that I was appointing this company.
Did you know that? Did you know that entity at the time, Nulani Management?
Yes, yes.
Or maybe just so that just articulate what company or companies you were going to be appointing if you signed the letter.
It was addressed to the letterhead was Nulani Investment. And I knew because at the time we had a number of exchanges. I had met earlier in I think it was 2010 or 2000. I think 2010 or 11. We had met with a representative. I think it was Mr. Thomas or so from P3, and the investment, the Nulani investment, Mr. Ibashama. So we had had some discussions with them, trying to find a way in which they wanted to play a role in the development, and there was some exchange and some discussions in the process. So when the letter was addressed to them now, and asking, you know, it was like a letter purported to be written by me. And at the end, it was written my surname. Now, in government, and everybody that has worked with me would see, Chair, that my surname is D-U-K-W-A-N-A. It's a Xhosa name. But it ended up being written as D-U-K-O-A-N-A. So everybody that works with me would know that the surname that I used every time anything that I use, it will be this surname, D-U-K-W-A-N-A. And this would be an official thing when, you know, official documents, etc. It will be written as D-U-K-O-A-N-A. And not many people knew that. Only those who were very close with me and that exactly know what was happening. And in this case, this letter was written D-U-K-O-A-N-A. And it was very interesting that the letterhead is written this way, it's an official, whatever, and I'm expected to sign. And by signing would be to give in this company this authority to do this project.
How they've known about these differences in the surname?
I concluded that it was ACE. Because there was no other reason. This is the man who indicated to me that we are going to Saxonwa, we are going to Sentin to raise funds and meet with the business people in there. He did not say anything throughout the journey. He did not say anything about the meeting the Guptas.
Now, Mr. Tukwan, at the time when you are now handed this letter by the person that referred to as Tony, what was the reaction of Mr. Ace Makashule? Did he participate in any discussion?
No, when I went through, I did not look at him when I read the letter. When I was reading the letter, I just read through the letter and found that the letter is now saying Xolisi Dukwana, that I must sign, and that is what they were asking me to do. And when I looked at him, his eyes, he was like, you know, and then I asked, but what is this?
Please just complete that. His eyes were like what?
They were looking down, you know, they were looking down.
Yes.
we did not have eye contact at the time.
Or did that have a meaning for you or not?
I think, you can be brave, you can do, but when you know that you are doing something that is not right, you would feel the way he was feeling. And I think it might be the fact that he knew that I would raise these matters with him. And I think that he was hoping that I would not burst in that meeting. So, I thought that it was his way of just calming me not to do anything.
Yes, okay.
And what did you do after reading the letter?
I asked what was this. And then they said to me, we had spoken to our brother here, Ace, and we think that this is the project that we can do together, and we are going to exclude Ace in this project. And it will be you and I. That's what Tony was saying. So you need to sign this thing. That would start this process. So I then said, but I can't sign this because I'm an MEC, the executive authority. This should be signed by the HOD if it needed to be signed.
Mr.
But also,
before you proceed, let me direct you back to paragraph 55 on page 17.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mkwena, I'm going to forget this, so let me just go back, Mr. Dugwana, if I may, to the issue of how your surname was spelled in that letter. There is Dugwana being D-U-K-W-A-N-A. Am I correct to say originally that is the correct spelling of your surname?
that is correct.
Yes. But you make the point that in that letter, your surname was written as D-U-K-O-A-N-A. Is that right?
It is right, and this is, if you check even now, in my affidavit,
yes,
because this is what officially, in terms of my ID, etc., it's written D-U-K-O-A-N-A.
Yes, that's what I wanted to find out. Which one is in official documents, like in the ID?
It is D-U-K-O-A-N-A.
N-A, which
the
is,
correct
I think,
one is D-U-K-W-A-N-A.
Which is what I think your counsel mentioned earlier on when he talked about his own situation. So if at that time, as MEC, if you wrote an official letter, you would use the spelling that has got OA. Is that correct? Or would you use the spelling that has got W?
It will only be when I sign documents that are official that I would insist on using the surname D with a KW. And it was only when I was advised that it will be correct that when you sign documentations like your affidavits, etc., and everything, you use what is written in your ID.
Yes.
But throughout my communication, when I write a letter, the surname that will come will be my right surname, the correct surname.
Yes.
Even if I use the letterhead of my office, the letter would go out as Dugwana.
Yes, with a W.
With a W.
Yes. So at that time, when you were MEC, whenever you wrote any letter, official or unofficial, you would write your surname using the spelling that has got W.
Yes.
The correct
but
one.
When it comes to contracts, anything that is of that importance, I would use the D-U-K-O-A.
Yes.
But in this case, as I say, since I became an MEC, and even when I was the speaker, What I used was DUKWANA.
Yes.
But the reason that I'm pointing this out would be a person who knows exactly that for the documents to have any, to have any relevance in terms of what is on my ID would be people who know exactly what is happening. It will not be a company outside that will know the right surname that appears on the ID is DUKOANA.
Yes, okay.
If you check all the documentations that will go to the executive, that will be DUKWANA.
Yes.
So as I say, any person who would come close, will come across my documentation will see this, but this would only be put by a person who knows exactly my surname.
Yes.
And you don't expect that Nulane would have known that my surname is DUKOANA that appears on my ID.
Yes.
Yes.
But in terms of, now I understand in terms of official documents, like when you sign contracts, as I understand it, even at that time as MEC, you would then put your surname, you'd put the spelling that uses OA after K.
No, W.
W, even if it was contracts.
MEC,
at that time.
MEC do not sign contracts.
Oh, you would sign
contracts. I was
contracts,
just making an example.
So I'm trying to distinguish whether during that time there would be documents which you would have signed as Dokwana with an OA after K, or whether the position is that all documents at that time, not now, at that time, whether all documents which you signed would be signed with the spelling Dokwana, KW, or whether it would depend what document it is. That's what I'm trying to establish.
Just to make it simple, Chair, everything would be DUKWANA.
Okay.
And I was advised coming
afterwards
here that by my legal team,
yes,
if you check, the first statement was DUKW, and it had to be corrected to reflect what is on my ID.
Yes, I did pick that up. Yeah.
So basically, everything else, it will be W. So the issue that I'm trying to point out is it will be a person very close to you who knows exactly that my ID has a DUKOANA.
Yes.
So not any person would know that.
So, but is it factually correct? Would it be factually correct to say, as at that time, when you were MEC, whenever you signed any letter, whether it's a personal letter or official letter, you would reflect your correct surname with KW?
I insisted on using the correct surname.
Yes. So therefore, this letter that was prepared for you to sign was strange in that sense.
Yes,
that it reflected the spelling of your surname that you would never use in a letter.
Yes, Chair.
That is the first thing. The second thing is it reflected that somebody who knows something that's not generally known outside had given information about the fact that your surname, in terms of official or ID, actually there's another spelling that is used with KOA. So something that was not generally known. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. No, I just thought it's important that we clarify this because it is an important feature of your evidence.
Yes.
Mr. Mkwena, please, you may proceed.
Mr. Dugwane, I interrupted you at the time when you wanted to tell the chair that Tony told Mr. Makashule that he was not going to benefit from the project. But before you complete that testimony, can I refer you back to page 17, paragraph 56, and paragraph 55, and take us through the contents of that paragraph, because I think they're important.
Yeah. Before I get here, just to explain this, that throughout, when it became clear that I was reluctant to sign, as I was advising that this should be on the letterhead of the department, not this. So there was an insistence, no, it will be fine, we will correct this. And I think the other thing was a sweetener that came in. And that sweetener was, if you sign this, meaning ignore all that you are raising, but sign this, and upon signing this, we will give you, this project will be between us, you and I, and Mr. Magashule would be out of this. We had spoken about this. He would be out of this deal. And because there is a lot that we are doing together with, he was not saying Mr. Magashule, he was saying Brother Ace. There is a lot that we are doing and dealing with or working together with Brother Ace. And specifically in the Free State, he mentioned Jagersfontein mine. And he then said, we are getting just to demonstrate that, that this is a trustworthy man who delivers on his undertakings. He was saying, we will give you this amount of money for this project. We'll give you 2 million. And upon signing, you'll get 2 million immediately, and 2 million for the duration of the contract, and that will be a monthly payment to me, and that will go to you, and because together with Mr. Magashule, with Brother Ace Magashule, we will then not involve him here. And then he tried to, when he said that, he gave me the letter again to sign. But when I refused, he said, I'm trustworthy. You can trust me. Ask Brother Ace, ask Brother Duduzane. We get 3 million every month. I give them, I drive after every month, after getting the money. I drive to Ace Magashule's place. And I give him his million. And I give Duduzane his million. And I get my million. And then he then said, isn't it so? And strangely enough, Ace said, yes, and Duduzane agreed. And I looked at them at the time, I was like, this man does not know me. He's now giving me this information and about the people that he's working with. And then he then continued trying to insist that I get this. I sign this and I'll get this money.
Now, where are these other people? Remember that you said it was not only yourself, Mr. Gupta and Mr. Magashule, but there were other people whom you don't know their names. Where were they at this point?
They were in the meeting, quiet. The person who was doing the talking in that was Tony.
Yes.
Yes.
And let me just ask this. Did Mr. Tony Gupta say, from what you are saying, if you sign this letter, you will get 2 million rand immediately?
Yes.
And thereafter, you will get 2 million rand per month. Is that so?
It is so.
Until when?
The duration of the contract.
For the duration, for the whole duration of the contract.
The contract,
Yes.
the whole project could have lasted for more than 10 years.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I see that it's 1 o'clock. Would this be an appropriate time to adjourn?
Yes, I think let us take the lunch adjournment. We'll take the lunch adjournment and we'll resume at 2. May I see Mr. Dugwana's legal team and the Commission's legal team, those who are here, or at least Mr. Mkwena and Mr. Pretorius, for a few minutes. We adjourn.